Welcome back, everybody, to another
really showing just really showing a pretty dominant display, dominant grasp on how to play the game. So hopefully we can get a match sort of similar of that qualities. Abyssal versus the Shanghai Shadows today. Shanghai Shadows, not entirely sure whether that's a copyrighted name. Not sure if that's a reference to any other major Overwatch League team, but maybe they can put on an Overwatch League tier performance today.
I'm sure the city of Shanghai might have something to say about it, but if a Shanghai city official's watching this stream, I think we might be in a weird universe. So I wouldn't worry too much about that.
I'm paranoid now, bro. I'm paranoid. Don't do that to me.
Man. Well, one big difference I have noticed between these two rosters so far is that Abyssal is running an extra support, which means they probably will be making substitutions in for a double flex support setup. And while that normally can kind of telegraph certain strats, I don't know if that's really true at this level of competition.
That's true. With the advent of Overwatch 2, people have been trying to get a bit more flexible, a bit more creative with the support lines they run. Gone are the days of the very standard Brigana, Mercy Zen, Bap Lucio. Obviously, those support lines can still be run, but a lot of teams will actually be opting into the double flex support just to put out insane amounts of utility and damage for their team. And yeah, Abyssal having that extra support on their roster, I think they're going to have Rowan, Pixel, and BB Doll all waiting in the wings, waiting to have their moment and try and bring the fight to Shanghai.
Yeah, we are having a little bit of some tech issues here. So as these teams are getting sorted, I guess we can talk about this map pool. It will be Nepal going into Rialto, Midtown, and then if necessary, we'll see New Queen Street and Oasis. And if we're in that super weird alternative universe, we will have Ilios as the ultra tiebreaker if
Ultra
necessary.
tiebreaker. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a draw in Overwatch 2.
I. Yeah,
Okay,
neither have I, to be honest,
yeah,
actually.
I haven't seen one in Contenders. Overwatch League, I don't think had a draw last year.
Maybe in the Pro-Am, but I'm not
I
entirely
don't
sure
remember
actually.
one out of the Pro-Am. Yeah, I don't even remember one of my ranked games the more I think about this. My gosh.
Yeah, draws almost feel worse than losses sometimes. Like you try so
Yeah.
hard. Let's say you hold first point, 0 ticks, and then you get full held as well, and all of a sudden it's like, oh no, that's just it's just devastating. So might be getting some draws today, maybe going to that last map of Ilios, but obviously we're not sure. You guys will just have to stick around and wait to see what we end up getting up to. A question that I had for you, Nerd Fighter. So Nepal, is there a world in which these teams don't just mirror Reinhardt comps against each other?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so, especially if we go to that Sanctum map. I think Sanctum is one of the few maps where Orisa can kind of work with that
Orisa?
extra long range and the Javelin making that pit a little bit, or making sure the enemy team does have to kind of mind the pit. Like that long range on Orisa shooting over those stairs, especially paired with something like a Junkrat who can take weird angles like that, I think still does have a place in this meta, especially if you just happen to have a specialty Junkrat player. I know I can think back to a couple EU scrims I've casted where there's just Junkrat one trick sitting in some of the weirdest spots where they've clearly sat in custom games for thousands of hours. But in that sense, Nepal does have some of those spaces, so I think we're gonna see some change up, probably away from the Reinhardt. But if anything, I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of Reinhardt on the other two maps. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll see a little bit of dive.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a lot of variation, especially on that Sanctum map. I was obviously more so thinking about the other 2 points. Obviously, there's a 1 in 3 chance that you'll get Sanctums. So these teams have to be prepared to play a bit of a brawly style. But something that is actually quite interesting in these Plat and Diamond games that I find is that we have these sort of ideas of what is meant to be meta, what teams are supposed to be playing. Things like it's Circuit Royale, they have to be playing a Sigma and a Widow. They're on Nepal, they have to be running this Reinhardt, a Lucio, a Bap. Though oftentimes when we're dealing with these matches, it's not quite so simple. At these low reloads, generally we're going to be looking at players. Are they just going to be going for their comfort picks, making team comps that maybe don't make particularly much sense, but still work regardless?
And that is kind of the thing. I think we see a lot of that in the backline, where sometimes the backlines won't necessarily make sense. Where you have like a Mercy Moira, but if it just happens that those two heroes are their best picks, then supports do benefit from just choosing to think you're going to die less on almost, right? Because Ana might be the optimal pick, but if your Ana's dead the whole game, it kind of doesn't matter.
Hmm. Yeah. And speaking of flex supports, I do feel like people are sleeping on Moira a little bit. I have been noticing a lot more Moira in matches. Now, the obvious argument is that, yes, Moira only deals healing and only deals damage. She doesn't provide utility. There's going to be no anti-nades, no sleep darts for your team, but Moira delivers everything that she does, the damage and the healing, so consistently, while also being so survivable, and she can really just weave in and out of the fights, just being an absolute menace. Now, obviously, we've probably had the matches with those DPS Moiras that jump in the backline. That's a bit of a different story. I played a match against Moira today who had 33 elims. I needed a long, long look in the mirror after that one. But do you think these teams are going to be running out on some sort of Moira?
Well, so Moira did get that slight buff, right? She can use her coalescence during, or sorry, she can use her fade during coalescence, which doesn't make that ult so easily counterable. Now, if you're gonna get hit with a rock, if you're gonna hit by a sleep dart, you can dodge it, which is nice. It is really nice. I think in an organized 6v6 setting, she doesn't provide enough burst healing really. Like the only other heroes I can think of that do something similar, right? If you think about like a Mercy maybe who has like a similar HPS, but Mercy provides the utility with the res and also much better mobility. Or if you think about someone with like Break who does a lot of like slow healing like that, but she can pack your Tracer from long ranges and CC the enemies. Where Moira is essentially just an anti-dive, I need to survive kind of pick. And if that's what your team needs, it can happen if it is a really hard dive. If you're getting dove by a Sombra and a Winston and a Tracer and you just need to survive, it might be the pick. But I think without that kind of intense pressure, there's going to be another support option that will deliver the same amount of healing with better utility.
Hmm. Yeah, we do apologize for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. We are having some issues with getting certain players into the lobby, so we are still waiting on a couple of people. Might have started stream slightly too early, but that's fine because you get to see us. So that being said, we are going to be calling for a break. We don't have an ETA. Apologies, but we will update you with the information the moment that we get it. So we are going to be sending you over to a quick break, and we'll hopefully see you very soon for some Overwatch.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us through these slight technical difficulties here. We will be heading to the high mountains of Nepal just shortly here, as it looks like we finally have all 10 players in the lobby.
Yeah, absolutely. During the break, we were able to actually learn a couple of very cool things about the players, which are going to be helping. Most importantly, I want you guys at home to keep an eye on Ares because Ares won MVP for the last UGC match that they ended up playing, and so hopefully going to be looking on Ares to pop off as well. That being said, Diagonal has in fact been to Nepal in real life. Nerdfighter, do you think that is going to make them better at this map?
No, I was going to say if he was in Nepal yesterday, the jet lag might make him worse. So as long as the trip wasn't recent, I think we'll be okay here.
Wow, absolutely insane. Personally, I have faith. Personally, I think that it'll work. We are going to be seeing both teams running out on a, not quite a mirror, but definitely opting into the brawl that I was talking about. Tell me a bit about the difference between this Cassidy and this Symmetra. How are these teams going to want to play this a little bit differently?
Yeah, the Symmetra is going to give them a lot of extra mobility, as well as being able to lock down this point. This point can have some really good turret spots that, if you can get first control, it can be devastating here.
Yeah, we're really looking at Minato for the speed angle with a TP to get on point first. Looks like they will be able to manage it, get those turrets set up, and now Quite is going to be running right into the car wash. Immortality builds will be forced out early, and just so low the side of Abyssal.
Silent Benji is just taking it to the other team there, just walking forward and Wing so hard. I'm kind of looking at Ares' Maywall there, was a little bit off to the side and a little bit early there, and that early cooldown expenditure really did kind of gift the Shanghai Shadows there, the first cat.
As you say, so many resources were forced out of Abyssal so early, and it was a real struggle to make any moves. Just the overwhelming damage coming from this front line from Benji already has a shatter. Will be laying it down, but the Maywall there is perfect to block it. Benji falling incredibly low, but Toucan is going to catch J-Star, and this could spell the beginning of the end for Abyssal.
A lot of that damage will be missing now for the side of Abyssal, and both lamps expended here crucially, but they're going to go for a soft reset and try to regroup around this Mega as they're waiting for J-Star to get back. But Hintashu just decided they want to go. They put down that window and it melts down quiet, lightning fast here.
A useful Maywall there from Toucan, especially comboing up with Hanata's amplification matrix, and Quite just didn't have anywhere to go. Stuck between a back window and a hard place. Benji with a nice little fade away onto J-Star, going to be staggering out Abyssal. And yeah, credit to Toucan for the Maywall there to cut off Quite and just overwhelm the Rhine with damage. Rhine really struggling to walk into this. Now, both teams are going to have a lot of resources to invest. Keep an eye on these Blizzards, because I do think that superior Blizzard usage will win this fight.
The Blizzard comes out for Toucan first, and it looks like that's all they need here. The window of Pixel's going to be all for naught, as the Blizzard just lets Shanghai Shadows wipe the floor with Abyssal.
Yeah, absolute domination so far. Shadows have just been showing a very strong grasp, playing very aggressive with this comp. There are going to be a lot of ultimates coming out on both sides. Shatter into nothing. Quite is going to get a bigger slam, but Minato with that barrier to try and keep everyone nice and healthy. J-Star catching Silent Benji from behind. The trades are out from both sides. It's Minato dueling Ares on the point. Hinata comes in with the little fadeaway, and that is going to be Shanghai Shadows taking this first point.
Now this is a
Yeah, that's a dominant first point, but one thing I do want to point out is that sometimes that is how the brawl kind of goes down. When you're playing this brawl style, you don't see a lot of trades, you don't see a lot of one-for-ones. It's a very fragile composition. As soon as you're missing one member, it tends to fall apart here. It's not quite like some of the dive setups we've seen in the past. So in that sense, Abyssal is still quite in this. They just need to find their path in, find the right route to the point, and honestly, try to make some of these rotations a little bit cleaner and a little bit faster.
are now going to be seeing a perfect mirror. Abyssal recognizing that the Symmetra damage and the TP is incredibly crucial for these teams. Likely just going to be a race to point. The team that can get there first is going to have a huge advantage in this fight. And I do actually prefer the rotation that Abyssal is taking. They are going to be bunkering themselves straight on point, making life an absolute nightmare for the Shadows to get onto.
Yeah, this is a little bit tricky. They have to watch that Mei wall. It's a beautiful wall out from Ares. It does cut off several members, but it's going to be quite on the receiving end of a hammer there. Going to be the first casualty in this fight. And now this is critical where Diagonal can set up these turrets. Ares does put up a wall. It's kind of a death rattle there, and it's going to be Silent Benji just cleaning up here, looking clean on this Reinhardt. Almost built himself a shatter.
Yeah, Benji catching 3 in the span of about 1 second at the very end there. Very clean play from Benji. Very comfortable on the Reinhardt. That fight quite just overstepped. Her boundaries very slightly. Going a little too aggressive. Pixel didn't have the immortality filled up in time. But we are once again seeing another rotation to the point. And I do like this. Abyssal definitely understand their wing condition, what they need to do here.
Big slam out from Benji, gonna put quite back on, at least on the defensive here, forcing them back off of the point. They tried to go for a sneaky little back up, but the window and the shatter means Abyssal won't be getting anywhere near this point for the time being.
Window coming out to overwhelm Benji with damage, and this is a beautiful little wraparound from Abyssal. A slam to clean up from Quite, making her mark in the game here, and that is going to be nice cleanup from Abyssal. Credit there to Abyssal for rotating away from that window. A lot of ults were invested from the side of the Shadows, but it did seem to work out for Abyssal in the end because they just kited out the window and took their fights a little bit cleaner.
And that's something I think the sim allows you to do. These TPs allows the sim either herself to put some off-angle pressure down onto this rush composition, or it gives you a chance to split up the point here. We got a little bit of a cross-section going on here. Looks like a 3D movie, but now the Blizzard's going to be coming out from 4 Diagonal, freezes up 2 members of Abyssal. J-Star's in trouble, but the B comes out from Rowan there. Is going to save several members, and this point looks like it's still going to belong to Abyssal.
That was an absolutely fight-saving beat from Rowan. Great play from Rowan there to get that beat up. Just Quite, I saw the HP. Quite was so low that entire fight, but the beat perfectly timed. Diagonal is now going to be going on to this Bastion pick, looking to overwhelm the Mei, overwhelm the Symmetra and the Reinhardt with damage. Abyssal going to have to play a bit perfectly, but Ares caught out early.
The pressure from Diagonal forces that wall out from Ares, and eventually she does give her life on that Mei, and Pixel goes down as well. That's a critical member of this rush composition, and now the House of Cards is crumbling down, and the side of Shanghai Shadows will recap the point.
Hanata there catching 2 on the opening, just fragging out of control. Somebody stopped them. Just was unstoppable there, and I feel like Abyssal were very caught off guard by that Bastion there. Just took so much damage. Oh, Benji boots out of the way of the slam.
What a beautiful team play, but now it's going to be Quite hitting a slam of her own, but fortunately Minato's there with the beat to try to keep their team as healthy as possible, and now Diagonal getting it done without that turret mode. Rowan is not going to be in this fight for Abyssal. That's a lot of mobility missing, and now J-Star and Ares. Abyssal is crumbling. They are in one fight territory.
The Bastion pick for the Shadows has been working out incredibly well. The timing, not all there for Abyssal, playing into the Bastion's turret form with very rough timing. Looks like they are going to be able to retouch onto the point, but they're not necessarily. They really need to be building this Blizzard early, and Rowan is down early.
Rowan going down early in 2 fights now means the beat will not be there for this final fight, and it doesn't seem to matter because Toucan's going crazy, finding 3 on this Mei. And now the Ares is going to try to throw the Blizzard out to try to salvage the fight, but they just freeze Shanghai onto the point, and that will be Shanghai Shadows taking point 1, or at least map 1.
Bit of a desperation Blizzard there. Obviously not a lot of options. The fight was essentially lost anyway, but credit to But credit to the Shanghai Shadows. Again, I'm sure that name isn't a reference to anything at all. Especially Silent Benji just dictated the pace of this match by playing so aggressively on this Reinhardt, just walking over Abyssal, dictating how Benji wanted to play the game, and Abyssal just didn't seem to have the ability to answer it.
No, I think the Bastion swap is a beautiful swap as well, because Bastion, I think, is a hero you can definitely figure out and start to play around, but bringing him out at that 50, I believe it was around that 50-60% mark, did not give Abyssal enough time to adapt. It gave him 1, maybe 2 good fights into that Bastion, and you know, sometimes it can take a second to really get those rotations down, know where you want to fight, and really take some of the sightlines where your advantage as the team without the range.
Yeah, going against a Bastion, especially in a Reinhardt comp, it's all about timing. Bastion has about 6 to 8 seconds. Is it 8 seconds, 6 seconds? Where
I think
he's
it's,
like,
yeah, I think it's 8.
Yeah, 8 seconds where he's by far the strongest character in the game. Overwhelming damage, overwhelming tankiness, but it's all about playing around that. And then if you're the team opposing that, waiting that out, and not letting yourself be shredded by the unstoppable force that is Bastion in turret form. Abyssal not quite able to figure out on this map, but going into Rialto, maybe they will be able to get a bit of a grasp on how to play it, or maybe just play something different entirely. Rialto, not necessarily forcing you into a brawl like those points on Nepal were. So I'm excited to see if any variation will come out from these teams.
Well, one of the key things about that Bastion pick is I don't think we're going to be seeing it at least out of the gates from either of these teams again here. So we don't have to worry too much about that. But one thing I think we might be seeing, this is the map where we might be seeing the flying characters. We might see a bit of a Pharah, we might see a bit of an Echo. But I don't think Toucan, they are a DPS player. I thought they were a support player for a moment. My bad. But yeah, so hovering over, well, at least now the Genji. But it looks like Shadows here are at least contemplating playing the Echo.
Job's on the line. Be very careful about getting the players correct, getting the roles that they play correct. Looking to be a bit of a dive mirror from both teams, but with some very notable variations. I really do like the Kiriko pick from Abyssal. Kiriko is so strong in a dive comp, not necessarily for the healing output, although it is somewhat formidable, but more so landing those kunai headshots and her ability to actually join in the dive with the team. No other support except maybe Lucio is really able to do that. We're going to see how Shadows want to deal with this.
And it looks like both teams opted in for that Nano Blade mirror here, as we're going to have an anime duel that Ares gets the best of, taking down their counterpart in Toucan here. But it's the side of Shanghai who's actually getting the better of these kills, cleaning up 3 here. And now it looks like this cart will be underway rather rapidly.
There was a nice little pincer onto BB Doll there. BB Doll pressured out by Benji on the Winston, had to swift step into her own team. Did get cleaned up, and then without so much healing, you're just gonna have to run it. You're just gonna have to run back to spawn if you're Abyssal.
Well, and now that pulse bomb is going to come out early here. Unfortunately, not going to find much. Or it wasn't a pulse bomb. I'm hearing things. My God.
Oh, I heard that as well.
Okay, so it's not just me. Lovely. But Quite's going to be slept in the backline here. Slept at least on cart, so we'll be contesting for the time being. But Benji doesn't care. They dive ahead. They find 3, and now it's just Quite. She's alone in the backline with the Tracer, and J-Star falls, and this looks like it's going to be a point 8 cap for Shanghai Shadows.
The tempo play from the Shadows has just been on point. You can see it in the first map, you can see it on this map. Obviously, yes, the defensive side, the onus isn't necessarily on them to make a move, but Shanghai Shadows are just always moving, always doing something. They know who they want to kill, they know what targets they're going onto, and they know when to do it. Benji is going to be in here poking maybe slightly ahead of the team, but there's more of a nitpick than anything. But Toucan will be overstaying. Toucan will be overstaying their welcome and will be falling.
That is, I believe, 2-0 to Ares here in the Genji duel. But who's counting? Who's counting? Certainly not me. Pulse Bomb does actually come out this time and does find Minato. That's a good pick for the side of Abyssal, at least if they want to try to start to mount some sort of defense here. But with a primal raging Benji in your backline, that might be a little bit hard. He does get slept and antied up from Pixel there. Great plays from the Ana. But it is going to be Shadows here who continue to push the cart.
Yeah, Benji there playing incredibly aggressive. Despite the opening pick onto the Genji, it was just a very rough fight for Abyssal. Nano onto Toucan just before the blade came up, but now the blade is out, and the team will simply be crumbling. Echo copy as well, Diagonal just flexing a little bit on this Ana, and this has been an almost uncontested push towards this last point. Now, if Abyssal are going to be fighting back, this is when they have to do it.
Diagonal just wanted to make sure there was a second nano in case something happened to Hinata there. Just, you know, just in case, a little bit of insurance there. But if we look at the dives between Benji and Quite here, Benji's going so much farther in, but as I say that, it's Quite who she receives the nano boost and just Goomba stomps onto Shadows here. She's in deep, she's in a little bit of trouble, but does have that primal range, but Benji's going to be the one to answer back. BB was in a lot of trouble there and eventually does get zapped down by the monkey. But now, we're seeing what Quiet can get cooking here as she jumps back to the safety of her own team.
Shadows are playing this so confident, not afraid to invest ult into fights where they're down a member. Right now the trades are still coming out between the players. Obviously the spawns will be slightly better for Abyssal, though that being said, Shanghai Shadows are still just pushing the cart through. Now, they're not going to have any ultimates to work with. We'll be running right into a Kitsune rush, and now definitely a switch up for Abyssal into a more counter-divey comp.
Quiet's going to swap over to that Diva for the time being, trying to counter out this Echo in the sky, but Aerie is going to be taking out Toucan again, now over onto the Cassidy here. A bit more of an anti-dive style, or at least a composition that can absorb some more aggression that's coming out really hard from Shadows.
Ares has been such a bright spot on Abyssal, to be honest. Constantly finding her opposite number in Toucan and Diagonal, just really putting in the work, and this style does seem to be working for Abyssal, very much more counter dive, but the nano onto the Winston could prove to be deadly for Abyssal's backline.
Now it's a nano primal into the backline of Abyssal. Pixel is going to be juggled left and right, but thankfully BB is there with the heals to try to keep her alive. And it's going to be Benji who goes down early into a fight uncharacteristically. But Hinata does answer back, picking off the Tracer, but with the defensive respawns, it looks like Shadows are going to hit the showers.
Quite played that fight incredibly well. Not ignoring the Winston, which seems slightly counterintuitive to do as a diva, but instead harassing the backline, trying to keep them on the back foot so the Winston cannot get any support. Wholesale compositional switch from Shanghai Shadows, and on paper, this does look like it could just roll over. It could just roll over the Abyssal composition. So we're gonna need to see a very good use of these ultimates from Abyssal here.
And Diagonal onto that copy Ana, but Ares is gonna let the Deadeye go along with the bomb. A bit of a ult fiesta here as J-Star also lets the pulse bomb go, but it's gonna be countered out by that lamp.
Trades still coming out between the teams, but as I said, the staying power of the Shadows composition is good here. A Miracle Nano onto Ares, maybe trying to get something done. Will actually catch onto Benji, and quite catching on Diagonal as well. If there's a stall, if there was enough of a stall from Abyssal, there could be some sort of clutch for them, but that is everyone dead, and very well fought in that last point from Abyssal. But the Shanghai Shadows will be finishing this with 2 minutes left in the time bank.
That's a lot of time here on Rialto. We've seen this map get capped up pretty fast here, but as long as Abyssal can get through first, you know, and leave themselves a decent time bank after that first cap, they do have a fighting chance here.
Yeah, again, credit to Ares there, doing a lot of work for this Abyssal side. But the Shadows just recognizing when they're being countered. And I like that confidence, and I like that discipline from them. They're not gonna they're not gonna succumb to ego. They're not gonna succumb to pride. They're just gonna recognize, okay, they've made switches to deal with us. Now we just have to make switches to deal with them. And right off the back of that, even though it was very nice ultimate usage from Abyssal, Shanghai Shadows were able to just clutch it out. And now, something a little bit more familiar for the Shadows.
Yep, it looks like we're going to be slowing things down here and going into a bit of a poke comp and a rush comp here. I love the chaos that the dive comps bring us, the trades back and forth of, Shadows might lose a couple members here, but they're still in it and they just trade out those kills so effectively here. But now going over to these more brittle compositions, starring the Sigma and the Reinhardt here, we'll probably see a fewer of those trades.
2, 1.
Few of those trades, especially a very cheeky position from the Shadows, scouted out by Ares, and they are now going to be rushing the spawn door. Going to be absolutely rushing down the spawn door of Abyssal. A quick fight win there. Very clean, charging up some ultimates, but now, okay, you've had your nice little 30 seconds, you've had your fight win. Gonna see if Shadows, they seem like they want to commit to this spawn camp. Not sure how wise it is, but we've seen crazier things work out.
We have seen crazier things, but now JStar is going to be over onto the far to try to break this chokehold of the Shadows. Abyssal need to sit down and look themselves in the eye and say, this stops here. Cool, you got one cheeky spawn camp, but they have to break this up now. They're low on time, but losing your flex support is not how you want to do it. But the shining star of Ares is shining once again and picking off one of the backline. That Baptiste is going to be removed from the fight, and that spawn is oh so far away.
J-Star in the sky is just completely uncontested. There's nothing that Shadows can really do. They do actually find the kill onto Twite, except J-Star's shattered on the ground. Not entirely sure why J-Star was playing there, but yeah, still going to be camping this spawn. Ares again catching onto diagonal, and now, yes, it is mentally tough to be playing like this. Monado catching two with a single boot, so strange there. It is demoralizing to be in a position like this, but now recognize the fact that you're in a 4v5 if you're Abyssal and press this advantage.
JStar does actually trade that out, is able to find Monado. That is a good pick here. Now, without this Lucio, the Shadows are going to be rather immobile. And speaking of immobility, Toucan lets the Blizzard go and does lock down one, forcing the Lamp early. Lamp just outside of their spawn, and Silent Benji just having the game of his life, picking off one in the spawn doors. After already last play, dealing with the Far Mercy himself, this Reinhardt is unhinged.
Unhinged, but surely now Minato is going to be committing the beat here for something, I suppose. That is one of the beats of all time. Window coming out from Pixel should finally be a cleanup for the side of Abyssal. Will be coming through with this one, just finally pushing out of spawn. But if you are Shanghai Shadows, you have so many more fights. You are not mad about this at all.
One quiet, she wants to hit that annihilation and really cement this fight, and it looks like they're going to need to, because Diagonal finds two. That's a critical ultimate there from the Reaper, and Silent Benji's also back in this fight, and it looks like he's back up to his antics, pinning the Pharah. He is just a one-man army. My gosh.
In a single round of Overwatch, I've seen a shatter onto a Pharah and a pin onto a Pharah. That's absolutely unreal. J-Star, unfortunately, just simply isn't getting the value that is required of them on the Pharah. Will bring a big open Tracer. A shatter quite in spawn. They killed quite right out of the spawn door. This is an absolute disaster. This is an absolute disaster for Abyssal. Just a dominant display here from Shanghai Shadows. So confident in their own play.
Yeah, it's going to be time. They are against the clock right now, only 30 seconds on the clock, and it looks like the Winston has opted to go for this high ground, at least trying to do what Winston can excel at now, and that's commanding this high ground above this Reinhardt and trying to cause some problems now. The lamp out early, and the window's a bit of a whiff from Hinata there, and J-Star's found diagonal. This is the opening that Abyssal have been waiting for.
Benji just pinned alone into the backline to catch Pixel, and it worked, and Benji is still alive! This is some ridiculous Reinhardt play. This is a caliber that I've never seen before, so confident. White falling is going to be spelling the beginning of the end for Abyssal, and some ultimates committed from the Shanghai Shadows to keep it all up, and that was a dominant display from the Shanghai Shadows.
I have never quite seen a Reinhardt pin in so confidently that the Mei walls behind the pin. effectively walling the Reinhardt off from their team, but also walling in the enemy team with that Reinhardt. We're going to be featuring Hinata here, popping off on this Baptiste. It was so hard to get to this backline, and look, and this aim is part of the reason why, just untouchable up on that high ground. So yeah, the backline also chiming in there. Hinata looked great on that flex support. Benji, a star on that Reinhardt, and we're already on match point.
If you're Abyssal, you really need to try and search for some answers here. It's clear that the issue you run into is it's not that they lack the game knowledge. They were picking things that would counter the composition and the style that Shanghai Shadows were playing, but it just didn't work out. And that's a point where you think we're playing the counter comp, but we're still losing. How do you Nerdfight, is there any way that you as a player could deal with that?
I think I found the problem. It's us. We're just 3-0 casters. We're just doomed to only ever cast 3-0s.
Hey, give Abyssal some credit, all right?
Well, they need to break the
Not
curse.
yeah, no, they're not breaking it because we're the ones. That don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Insane.
Yeah, no. It's not us. We haven't cursed anyone. We've been cursed. No, I'm joking. It is looking a little rough here for Abyssal though, going up in a David vs Goliath kind of situation here. But yeah, Silent Benji's just looking so good, and we're going to Midtown. I'm not sure what Midtown can bring. I think I've seen some Somber work really well on this map. I occasionally see a Doomfist do well here when Doomfist shouldn't do well in a general sense of this meta. So if they're going to bring out something wacky, now's the time, and Midtown might be the map.
Absolutely. Silent Benji putting in a couple of facts for you. Silent Benji putting incredible performance. Silent because apparently is deaf in one ear. Clearly doesn't affect the game sense. Seems habit though. It might explain some of those. Might explain some of the more wild pins into the back line. But you know what? If it works, it works. Who am I to criticize? Also, Rollstar MVP twice in Ulti Esports and actually won that tournament. So clearly has experience playing at a high caliber in tournament competition, and it's really coming through in these matches.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of nerves coming out here from Abyssal as well. Now that you say that, yeah, these tournament vets are playing with a lot of confidence here, and that's sometimes what you need in this Reinhardt kind of compositions that they've loved so much. The Altitude Esports tournament is like an owl style kind of event here, so it wasn't the whole team. It was probably, by the looks of it, I believe it was just Benji and maybe a couple other members of the team here. But the important part is this is an experienced team here who know what to do when they're under pressure. But the thing is, they're not under pressure on this map. They're the ones pressuring here, as Abyssal is really under their thumb.
Absolutely. Also, another fun fact: Rowan has a cat named Luna, who is apparently very cute and we love very much. So, Luna, if you're watching this stream for some reason, then hello. Hope all is going well for you.
Luna's a good cat name. That's a good cat name.
True. I'd prefer it as a dog name, actually.
Honestly, it's a pretty classic pet name. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I'd say so. What do you think of Rocky? I like Rocky as a name.
As long as you're not going to sit there and quote the movie for the next 20 minutes at me, yeah, I'm on board with it. Just don't quote the entire Rocky movie at me, like in conversation.
I was about to do a Sylvester Stallone impression, but then I realized that I have some dignity, so I won't do that. Shanghai Shadows, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Looking to be running on the rush. We did see yesterday, during the Argonauts game, again, check it out if you... feel free to check that out if you have the time. Maybe you have the time now, considering that we are going to a pause.
I was going to say, I kind of want to do a Twitch poll. What color do we think Luna is?
I mean, if anyone can, what color?
Yeah, what color is Luna? I haven't, because I haven't seen this cat.
Ooh, yeah, that's true. Oh,
right, like I don't know, Luna. Meilu's sitting here saying it's a light gray cat name. I think it's a very much it's a pet name for like any sort of black animal with like some gray on it. You know, like a nice black dog, with a little white patch on their chest, something like that. That's a Luna to me. Or like a gray cat with blue eyes. Like the blue eyes are the part that like really sells it.
Yeah. Um. I mean, we will actually get the critical information for. I think like
Before we
yeah,
do, I want your guess.
Luna. I think
I think black.
I'm also gonna say black simply because like the eyes would be like so shiny, and I guess like there's a reminder there of like sort of stars almost.
Yeah,
You
like the
know?
night sky and then the big moon is the eyes, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Benji once again complaining about being deaf. Again, doesn't really seem to affect anything. So good job, Benji. Keep popping off today.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's always a fun question. As a cat owner myself,
Ah,
it's always a little thing I'm curious about. Pets are fun until they chew on your cords.
truly, I own 4 dogs. They're all massive.
Oh my gosh.
They are 4 massive dogs. It is unbelievable. Do you enjoy? Tell me this now. Do you enjoy getting a good night's sleep?
I feel like this is about to be a sponsored bit for like a mattress thing, but yeah,
Well, then don't get 4 massive dogs.
that's fair. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds like four, honestly, probably equivalently sized children. Probably same amount of sleep.
Yeah, true. Yeah, right now in my university house, I'm not gonna be worrying about that too much, as we still have some technical issues coming out. So, in the meantime,
I will say I did work at a bar once where one of the regulars he brought in his horse-sized dog,
what?
and you know, like just one of those dogs that's just like its shoulders like at your hip. It's just absolutely massive. But the dog would give kids rides on its back around the restaurant. It was really cute.
That doesn't seem entirely ethical, bro.
I mean, the dog had fun, the kids had fun, and I was paid hourly, so we're good.
I remember like when I was really small, I'd also try and like ride on dogs' backs, but then like my mum would like yell at me and say like you shouldn't do that because it would hurt them. And so ever since I've been
Well, okay, that's the thing is this dog was like 150 pounds. It was a very big dog. It was yeah,
a big fella. I have a bad
yeah, yeah.
habit of like every single dog that I see, no matter how physically big they are, they're always just a little guy to me. You know what I mean? Like they're just a little guy.
See, I do the thing where I forget you can't just drop dogs. You know how you can just drop a
Um.
cat?
Someone called the vet. Jesus Christ.
Well, no,
Someone
like
call the RS.
cats.
Someone call the
Like
RSPCA, bro.
if you're holding your cat and they just get feisty, you can just kind of drop them. They fall, and it's not a big deal. But if you do that to a dog, they freak out and like, whoom, like, oh no! I always feel so bad.
This is ladies and gentlemen, we have ladies and gentlemen, we have animal cruelty coming out represented by the team gonna be represented by this tournament. Nerdfighter, what do you have to say about your hatred of animals?
You know, I've just grown up with animals my whole life, and I enjoy dropping them. Like my cats enjoy being dropped, and I don't know what else to say here.
Yeah, sure they enjoy being dropped.
Okay, all my other cat owners in chat must have my back here. Cats can be dropped, and in
In
fact, often need to be dropped because they're scratching you.
is in an absolute state of denial here. I cannot believe what I'm hearing. This is the problem with any production, ladies and gentlemen. You run into casters who think it's okay to hit their cats and then I don't know set fire.
Okay, whoa! I've never hit my cats. I
Uh,
occasionally drop them.
yeah, but you drop them, and that's basically the same thing. Like thanks for killing all the polar bears, dude. That's you. I hold you personally responsible for all that.
You know what? I'm just yeah. You know, this is a hole I don't know if I can dig myself out of. That's one that is for sure here.
Yes,
I do
we are
wish one of my cats was awake and I could bring them on stream, but I think they're all taking their naps.
Do I have anyone that can join me on stream? Um, Tell you what, I do have someone who can join me on stream. His
Oh, am
name
I
his name is Kevin.
like the
Now
bird from Up?
you obviously can't see it, but people on stream, This is a little doll that I got in Krakow, Poland, and so I have named him Krakow Kevin. He is a dinosaur. For nerd who you can't see, he's a little dinosaur. He's holding a sign with Krakow on it. Cost me like
I pulled it up. I got you.
best two
That,
quid
that
of
is very
my
true.
life. To be
I do
perfectly
have a
honest.
French llama on my desk.
A French llama. Why a French llama?
It was a joke from an author who would yell French llama instead of swearing, and which is just somehow worse. So then they made little French llama vinyls, and then they're real cute.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, like I was pretty happy when you said llama, but then I heard French, and so then I got a bit sad. Oh, we do have tech issues coming out from the side of um.
I was
tech
right. Luna's a short black-haired cat. Let's go. I was
Oh,
right.
nice one, nice. Um, yeah, we do have issues from Abyssal. Quiet has disconnected from the lobby, so we are still waiting on getting the stream back up to you. I am running out of things to talk about, if we're being perfectly honest. What is the best? What is the strongest character, like at any time in Overwatch's history? Do you think?
Okay, that's really hard to quantify. I don't know if you're familiar with the argument in like sports ball history when you go into those eras of just like, well, 1960s basketball was so different from 2010s basketball. You can't compare the eras. I think that's a similar issue here in Overwatch history because if you look back, I think on release, Winston was obviously the most broken character because they sat there and you could run 3 Winstons and 3 Lucios. Why would you not do that? You know. So in that sense, it's I believe we're getting a picture of Luna here. What a baby! What an
Wow.
absolute adorable baby.
Absolutely.
Um, but in that sense,
Shame you guys
without.
at home can't see this.
Sorry, one more time.
Shame you guys at home can't see this. Very sad.
I think production's on it. They're on it. It'll be up on your screens shortly, hopefully.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But in that sense, if you're gonna remove like hero limits, some character power levels change a bit. Because it turns out 1 Genji's not that good. 5 Genjis
Like
might
just,
be a
like, just imagine
thing.
now, like poor Zen in the backline and 5 Genjis dash at the same time.
Right.
Just
Like
insane.
what do you do? But so in that sense, going throughout the years, obviously we had Goats meta for so long, and that Brig was so oppressive. Like on release Brig, I think is gonna be hard to beat in terms of character
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, I feel like release Brig is probably the option. It's more so just because she was able to provide so much value. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people who massively care about the idea of, oh, you need to have this level of mechanical skill to play this character, or like this character's easy, whatever. The point of Brig is that you got you got the most value out of her kit without really having to try. She was just so tanky, dealt so much damage, had a counter to basically everything in the game that it was just very easy to switch your brain off and just rank up by one-tricking Brig. Second
Well,
place. Oh,
I was gonna
sorry,
say the problem with the goats meta was also that we had such an oppressive dive meta for I believe it was like 6 or 8 months before that with like the double mercy stuff and all that kind of noise. So it was in the inability to rein in the power of dive. Like dive was such a problem. We have to remember that
Yes.
meta was ridiculous. It needed some sort of solution. The solution was probably more of a roll lock, but then so they brought in Brig in that busted state to combat that very oppressive meta. Luna's on screen, Pog. There you go, stream. Cat time.
Ooh. Luna is the best cat. So cute. So cute.
I will say fourth best cat because I got 3, so
Okay,
she's
well,
fourth. I think that's fair.
Well, that's why you're wrong. I think Luna is better than your cat.
Any animal you actually feed is the best animal. That's just how the rules work.
It's not personal, but Luna is just better than you. It does look like we are finally gonna be getting into the match. A couple of substitutions have been made. J-Star will be coming out for the side of Abyssal. We have not seen J-Star before. Hope that they're able to pop off in the same capacity, sort of how Quite did earlier. Quite did put in a pretty decent showing, but has been outclassed by Benji on the main tank role. So we're going to be seeing if these substitutions, Baby Doll, Rowan, J-Star, are going to make all the difference for Abyssal.
Well, I know the Overwatch League has loved to pump the narrative of Ram versus Rhine, and I think it's a bit overdone, but we will be getting the matchup here. J-Star is on the Ram here, and Ram being a bit of a newer character is a lot of these newer tank players have been pulling him up and actually performing extremely well against these Reinhardt compositions. But as I say that, there's already a TP into the back, and Shadows have made their home onto the point. Lamp comes out to keep that team topped off. Ares is the first casualty of this fight, and it looks like Abyssal is crumbling before our eyes here.
It does seem like this is just the way that teams want to deal with Midtown A. It's such a tricky thing to cross. This attack even faster than yesterday's, but it is such a tricky choke to cross. So we're just not going to cross it at all. We're just going to sim TP across the point, and this is what we wanted to see. J-Star will be taking the mirror matchup. Not quite a perfect mirror, because there will be the Symmetra versus the Cassidy. Cassidy may be providing a little bit more range, a little bit more close range threat, but you cannot underestimate Diagonal when that beam is charged up.
Who needs range when you have the TP? Silent Benji's gonna pin, turn, and shatter, unfortunately, straight into the shield of J-Star there. Not going to be finding too much with that Rhine ultimate, but they have parked themselves on this bridge. They are dominating this high ground, and now the wall out from Hinata does take down Rowan. That is a critical first pick, and Ares is quick to follow. Silent Benji is going off on one this game.
The healing from Baby Doll was incredible there to keep J-Star alive in that initial engage. It was a bit of a miracle that J-Star managed to live there, but the coordination, the timing between the window and the fire strike between Hinata and Benji, it's clear this team has been playing together for a long time. That synergy is there. J-Star going to get on point, desperate pin over to J-Star, but it's going to be 4-0, and Shanghai will be finishing up this point as well. 6 minutes on the time bank. I have never seen this.
Oof, we are in for it today. That is a very big ask here, but you know, Abyssal can only win what's in front of them, and right now what's in front of them is a Shadows team with kind of loaded up here on ultimates. They're gonna have the wall, they're gonna have a shatter, they do have a beat. They have some ultimates to answer here, but it's gonna be up to Baby Doll here and this window to buy the time and space they need.
Yeah, good window coming out means that Pixel will be able to find Hinata. Benji did come out with a slam, catching J-Star, and even when they lose one at the start of the fight, Shanghai Shadows are still just going to be rolling this cart through. This is an absolute travesty for Abyssal. They need to use their ults here effectively. They definitely have the tools to halt this advance that's being made, but honestly, Shadows could still pull off anything.
Pixel is going to use that at high noon, is going to wait out the wall from Toucan. Unable to find anything with the Deadeye. The wall did buy them enough time to kite it, but J-Star hits a shatter, does put 3 on their back here, but now he's going to be counterpinned by Benji as Benji decides to march forward. Rowan has earned themselves a beat and let that one go, but suddenly everyone's dead thanks to Silent Benji and a massive shatter. And now this cart is just going to be tapped right in onto third, and with over 4 minutes in the time bank here, that is 3 points for Shadows.
Ares died using the blizzard there. That is so unfortunate, and I can explain the sequence of trades that happened because of that. Because of that, Minato was able to hold on to the beat was able to use it to keep the team sustained and alive, give Benji the tankiness to charge up that shatter, get everyone down with it, and Hinata as well, with a nice little window to help with the cleanup. Just a very nice play of clutch and ultimates, not panicking this side of Shanghai. And Abyssal are just getting outclassed in this matchup.
Ready for battle.
Yeah, it does look like maybe just a hair of a bit of a mismatch here. But it will be Abyssal's turn on the attack here. And they have, I believe it's 4 minutes of their own to get point A. And they're going to have to cook something up here. Diagonal is going to be over onto the Torbjorn, creating some off-angle pressure here with that turret. I do like the swap up here.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting swap. Case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I suppose that the Symmetra may not get as much gifted purchase on the defense, especially if probably anticipating Abyssal to be running that Symmetra of their own, just circumvent it. So the Torb is certainly an interesting pick. The turret likely going to be hounded down quickly, but Diagonal has been making it work so far. We're going to see if he can continue to do so.
Yeah, and it's gonna be J-Star here as the tip of the spear, gonna try to be walking in, but that Maywall already coming out from Toucan, gonna be an early deterrent. The rotation now coming out from Abyssal, gonna be rotating straight onto point up that right-hand side from the defender's perspective, but Hinata picks off Rowan out of nowhere. The Flex support their fragging out, cracking open this fight, and then the rest of the team is soon to crumble afterwards.
This is the issue with the mismatch of the Widowmaker into the Widowmaker into the Torb. The Torb just has more consistent pressure and more consistent damage output. Absolutely, the switch there is very warranted from Pixel. Just seeing J-Star walking forward and just taking damage, and oh my god, this is incredibly cheeky play from the Shadows. So confident in their play, but the Immortality Guild is there to keep J-Star alive.
Oh gosh, and the side of Shadow hide in that little corner and then explode around this corner with the help of that Shadow. They're touching spawn doors, and as I just had that thought that they are not going to be able to spawn camp, not on this map, surely. But leave it up to Shadows to push the boundaries of what they can do, and they are up here.
Yeah, the switch up from Pixel onto this Sombra means that there is going to be a slightly different style played from Abyssal. Definitely look to hack Benji, honestly. Hack Benji, try and shut down that tank, because Benji, as you have been saying, is the tip of the spear for the Shadows team. I do actually like this early play of backing up onto the point to relieve a bit of pressure and actually allow the rest of Abyssal to walk forward. They are going to be walking into a lot of ultimates from the Shadows.
And it's going to be the Blizzard and the window used here in conjunction for the side of Abyssal, and that damage has come through onto Benji. That Mad Dog has been finally put down, and now without Toucan, Shadows here is starting to bleed out members. But Diagonal's still on this point. He's looking not so healthy, but his turret's still looking good. He eventually does go down, and it looks like the side of Shadows has crumbled just in time here. With a minute 30 for the side of Abyssal, they will be capping point A.
Still a little bit of fight left from Abyssal, not going to be giving up, and it's a bit of an interesting decision there to recontest from the Shadows. They didn't have their full team back. Even slightly more interesting shatter coming out from J-Star. Interesting, the term that I'll use, because hey, if it gets the kills, it gets the kills, I suppose. Who am I to complain? Using an ultimate that maybe you prefer to hold on to for a more full fight. Toucan is saying, please don't do that. I'm not entirely sure what Toucan is referring to.
Toucan got shattered, and when he went to shatter, Toucan just ice blocked and ignored the whole thing. It was quite a time. But speaking of shatters, it's going to be Silent Benji throwing one out here, and at least going to clean up J-Star for the time being. The tank missing from Abyssal leaves that team looking really squishy and vulnerable here, but it's going to be the side of Shadows smelling blood in the water and not quite looking to go after it, not just yet.
I want to see the interaction here between Minato's sound barrier and Pixel's EMP. So it looks like the tempo, again, this Shadow side is just playing so high tempo, using that Blizzard early, catching Pixel, catching Ares. Benji with 3 in the fight. Can he get a 4th? Not quite. Minato and Diagonal going to be stealing these kills. Frauds taking away from the real Silent Benji. And what is this angle they're taking?
I wish I could say I've seen this one before, but this one is a new one for me as a caster. The EMP is going to come out just outside of their own spawn, but it's exactly what they needed. It hits almost 5 members, at least 4 there, and it takes them out. Beautiful EMP there from Pixel. They just have to clean up Toucan here in the back, but Toucan's going to at least take one down. They're not going down without a fight, and now the wild bird has been caged, and this cart is underway.
Perhaps the Shanghai Shadows flying a bit too close to the sun there, spawn camping without ultimate tracking. It's almost too easy. All grouped up for that. All grouped up for that EMP. Blizzard coming out on the high ground is going to freeze up Minato, who is able to get the beat off beforehand to keep everyone from the side of the Shadows healthy, but is going to be isolated, and that is beautiful focus fire from Abyssal. That being said, there is another trade onto the other Lucio. Ares will be catching diagonal, but Hinata on this high ground needs to be stopped.
Hinata's taking such an aggressive angles. Benji tries to help him, but J-Star shuts that down with a shatter here. And Benji returns the favor, puts J-Star out of commission now, and now Abyssal, they're low on time, and they're even lower on tanks.
Yeah, a window here from BB Doll going to be trying to make something happen, but Benji doesn't care, just blasts right through it, able to capture Rowan, and this has been a very scrappy affair, but this is where the mechanical differences are really coming out on display, because even in these scrappy fights, Shadows just have the clutch value, just hitting more shots, landing more hammer swings, getting out more and more resources from Abyssal until they can't take it anymore and they all fall over.
Well, one of the things you mentioned earlier as well is the tempo, and I think going on to this Torbjorn does add something else for this team to for the enemy team there to focus on. As I say, that Toucan does shut them down with a blizzard, but yeah, the Shadows are just playing so much faster here. And it's taking Abyssal just a few extra seconds to try to shoot this turret, and in that extra time period, they're just getting pounced on by Shadows over and over again. They're going to send Minato back to try to defend against a possible backcat from Pixel. That Cheeky Sombra is always hanging around somewhere. You got to be careful.
Pixel needs to work on the timing with the team, but right now it doesn't look possible as the Shatter caught onto a few from Silent Benji, the absolute MVP of this match. Diagonal catching out two there. With these kills, Rowan may be going to be trying to touch. Looks like Pixel is able to get onto the point, will land an EMP onto two, but it's just too little, too late for Pixel here. A very good showing here on this map from Abyssal, really fighting, making Shadows work for it, but in the end just outclassed by the side of the Shanghai Shadows, who will be taking this series 3-0.
Yes, what a performance here from the side of Shadows. They didn't let their foot off the gas, not for 1 second there. And it's nice to see when a team is dominant, though, they don't stop, they don't play with their food, they don't go on to major troll picks or anything like that. They take it seriously and finish it out with a clean 3-0.
Yeah, it was a very strong performance from Shanghai Shadows there. Just a very... how do I say, just confident performance. Clearly the better team today, and they knew it. Commiserations to Abyssal, had some bright moments, especially Ares, I want to point out specifically, really trying to do God's work on some of these DPS picks. But the Shanghai Shadows just played a very confident style, a very confident matchup. They knew that they were the better team on this day, and as you say, they weren't content to play with their food, they just went straight in for the kill.
Yeah, this is still a great experience for Abyssal as a team. This can be quite a bonding moment for teams like this. Knowing that you've been in the trenches with one another, going through these dark times, can really bond the team together. And honestly, it's a long season. They got more to play for. They had some technical difficulties today that honestly did no favors to a team that needed all the help they could get today. So J-Star did look really good as a backup tank, though, I will say. Shout out to J-Star for stepping in when the team needs it. They played, I think, actually pretty well there on the Reinhardt. They got through first point. They made it halfway through second there. So, at least the final point there, they showed some signs of life, and I'm excited to see what this team can bring further down the line.
Yeah, truly. Obviously, we don't have any players available for interviews. That being said, I am going to be selecting my match MVP, and it can't really be anyone other than Benji, can it?
Nope.
As far as I'm concerned, let's be perfectly honest. Benji, despite being deaf in one ear, playing with perhaps double the strength of all of the other players, just a truly dominant on the Reinhardt, to be honest, just dictating the tempo of the game. Again, the confidence was really led by Benji's Reinhardt play. Some would even say a Giga Chad level of play, but we can save that sort of language for later. Just so confident, such a headstrong leader for the team to get behind, and Abyssal just didn't have an answer for it.
Yeah, well, we've seen this for a couple days in a row now. Unfortunately, Castner's second 3-0 for 2 days in a row.
Sorry
Go
about it.
production team, let's go. But what we've seen is these Reinhardts truly dominate here. So when you're watching some of these Ryan v Ryan matchups, watching how these Ryans want to use pins, how they're baiting out a pin from the other Reinhardt, because if you pin first and cancel, you are now very vulnerable to get pinned yourself. The only defense against that Reinhardt pin is either an on a sleep dart or another pin or a bash or something like that. Without your own counter pin, you are just waiting for the other Reinhardt to swoop in and diff you. So have you seen these Reinhardts put on a bit of a masterclass on how to be a dominant Reinhardt recently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, very well played, Silent Benji. Going to be taking the, I suppose, unofficial title of match MVP. And I feel like with all of that wrapped up, that is going to be the end of the match, a clean 3-0, and the end of the stream. So, obviously, big shout out to both the sides of Abyssal and Shanghai Shadows for putting on an incredible performance today. Shout out to Nerdfighter, the best co-caster, dare I say, best co-caster. Though not
At
for
least
the
the
team.
best Catboy co-caster. I'll take that title.
And yes, also the cutest Catboy. That is just have a quick look at the background. Try and find some more Catboy images of Nerdfighter. It's brilliant. Trust me. Huge shout out to Meilu for doing the production and the observing for this match. Has been did this for yesterday's match as well. Has been doing a phenomenal job behind the scenes. Again, if you are interested in roles in production or observing, then don't be afraid to contact Marmaris Esports about that. There's always a need for more people behind the scenes. And of course, shout out to you people at home watching this stream. The support that the stream can get is what allows us to carry on putting on these productions like this and just bringing you best matches. So, Nerdfighter, did you have anything you wanted to close with?
No, just thank you everyone for hanging out. I think we had another second day of some really good viewership, so thank you for everyone for hanging out and following the channel. So yeah, stay tuned for more. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. It's been a phenomenal day of Overwatch. I have been Egg to the Ruiner, and he has been Nerdfighter, and we will see you again another day. So, goodbye, all.